Hello, my name is Alexander Armenkov. Today is 10th of December 2022 and I'm continuing my series Daily Reality with Alex. Today I would like to speak about the building block of reality, one of the fundamental of the construct, the reason why we have experiences. And this is information. A lot of scientists today are saying, well, simulation is one thing, but what is information? What we're doing with these five senses constantly. Of course, some of us can say, well, Alex, it's not exactly information, it's signals, but what is signal? Signal is actually transporting something towards us. And what is this brain doing? What exactly is this brain doing, and why the realm of the mind is constantly working with information? Why we can never exist into this reality without constantly observing, constantly monitoring, constantly looking at, constantly hearing, and constantly computing information. Yes, all of us know that we live in an informational age, but do we understand that it is part of the building block of reality? And do we know exactly why we are not to be synced into this information, or to fight with each other and to prove to each other which information is right and which information is wrong, and actually to start understanding and to use information for our own benefit, and even on the top of it, to learn how to influence information, to learn how to influence the objective reality. And yes, it is long-term possible. Why it's possible? Because actually we are given a permission to use intent, to give our command, to have a wish based on the information we receive, and to order and ask something different to appear in the informational reality. So then experience becomes a different game. It's no more a consumption mode. We don't come here in this existential reality in order to consume life, in order to just gather awareness, in order to just exist and to fight for more and more existence and consummation of information if we are still staying in the realm of information. Not really, we are here for something more, because otherwise there is not going to be a point of existence of every one of us through our unique experiences, adaptation, and why we are so important for all this objective reality that is out there for all of us. Actually, information have created beings like me and you that are to interact with it, to perceive it, to understand it, to comprehend it, to influence it, and to be able to express something different in the informational ocean, and to constantly change the common objective informational field that is out there for all of us. Then our experience becomes a much more different game. We are now part of the information. Right now, a simple example, while I'm creating this content, and all of us now have this very big movement of becoming content creators. What we are doing, all of us that are thinking about ourselves, that we are content creators. We are expressing and feeding each other with more and more information. It's not necessary information to come from one source. In the past, maybe information came only through the books. What are books? It's packed knowledge of invisible information that is unpacked before the reader, then what happened with the movies, what happened with the radios, what happens with all this mass information flooding upon the human beings while we are coming today in the digital age, and there is much more information than ever has been on the planet, at least where we are. And for everything there is approximately 100 different alternatives, point views, world views. For example, I am strongly working with the Christianity view of how to look upon the world. And does it mean that there are not approximately 200-300 major differences and facets of all this information? And if you even go deep dive, you can see so many oppositions and dialectics and differences and so on. And everyone can say, okay, I'm going to reject this type of information, I'm going to reject this type of information. Nothing is perfect out there in this informational pool. Everything is so destructive, so disillusional. And where is the truth then? Of course, all of us think, well, the truth is only inside of me. Whatever I'm perceiving out of this pool of information, only this is important for me. And since only this is important for me, only this is the truth for me. This is a good egoistical approach towards the objective reality. But long term, this is not the reason why we are here on this informational plane of experience, because there are a lot of layers of experience, but I'm now speaking only about the informational plane of experience. So even if we want it or even if we don't want it, all of us are part of this so-called quadrant 3 of reality, where is the collective internal, where all this informational realm is working and where all the perception regarding the reality is working in all the human beings. So anyhow, all of us are part of this so-called informational interaction. And it is like food. We are feeding with it our mental realm, then it becomes physical matter expressions of who we are. That's why information looks like it's not tangible, but it's much more solid even than the physical matter reality, because no physical matter reality can exist without first being information. And when you dive in everything that is out there in the physical matter reality, behind it, and through exploring it, you will find so much information. So information is everywhere. It is a very consistent part of the objective reality. And of course, we extract a lot of this information and we go to our being and create our subjective reality. This is a very big topic, long term, for all of us to explore, but I'm going maybe to mention a very small part of how I'm working with information and why information is working in such a way that when you hear something, don't go into labeling, judging, putting it into different containers, but always understand that in every sentence there is so much to be repacked. There are so many layers to the same information, and actually with each bit of information you can go, and it is always just an opening door towards such a big of a realm where you can explore and explore and explore, and it's never ending. So in every information in the objective reality, there is enough for all the human minds to fit for centuries forward and to never comprehend all that is out there. The other thing about information, that it is complementary. It consists into each other in such a way that whenever you hear, well, this is valid only in this case and in this way, and no other possibilities for this type of information to be applied in different fields, many of the times it's not true, because general information applies for all different areas of detailed life experiences. And for me, it's very important to always put my attention towards the direction of this general information, and when I find strings of information, I label them as, aha, that's a very nice, interesting idea. I will start and continue to exploring it for the rest of my life, because it is a very important tool in understanding the objective reality. And then I'm not more into the game of finding, proving, projecting. I don't interest in these things. What I'm interested in is to long-term become an explorer, in long-term living into this reality of information, to explore, to renew my mind, to understand what is happening out there, and of course long-term not to become a dysfunctional consumer of information, but long-term to start interact with the information, and to be able long-term even to become part of a generating of more information, to become part of the visionary expression of clearness of information. And then we are moving forward into objective reality, and nobody can see anywhere the truth. And even when from time to time we spot some truth, immediately so much different semi-truths come around it, and it's very easy to lose even what we found out that it was maybe a true information that was able to work with, and it was possible to use in different areas of life. And that's why all the time information is to be polished, to be understood, to be explored, and never to be put on the different shelves. If information is, once in a time I received one aha and I forget about it. Once in a time I received another aha and I forget about it. No. The more and more ahas are coming to you, and there are different lights that are happening in your brain. Immediately move, deep dive into exploration and see where I can start applying into my own personal daily reality from tomorrow morning, and start exploring. This is how I work with information, and for the last 2 years, actually, my life is using much more informational power into everything that I'm doing. And maybe this is part of why I'm much more conscious about my daily reality, and I'm able to influence and do much more things than 2-3 years ago, at the expense of using much more information that I'm allowing myself to be surrounded with and to use daily in different finesse ways. And now, before every action of mine, stays so much more information than what was my ignorance approaches before. Of course, there is difference between information, knowledge, understanding, comprehension, and so on, but long term, of course, because we are anyhow swimming in this information, it is important to be able to extract it to such an extent that you are able long term to live by the learning and intuition, because anyhow whatever information you are using, and there is so much of it, it is always helpful. And I know there is a big fear in all of us that if we don't have enough information about this, if we don't have enough information about this, I cannot make a specific decision. Actually, we don't need any information about making decisions. Why we use information in order to enrich the decisions that we have already made based on intuition, alignment, and connection with reality. It's different way of using information, and by information I don't mean only what is happening and coming to you by the mass media and so on. By information I mean a lot of knowledge, a lot of books, a lot of understandings of different type of bubbles, and to see how they complement each other and how nothing is telling you 100% all the truths and so on, and there are a lot of facets and categories and exclusions of each other. But more and more you come into maturation, you understand, well, at some extent this is good, at some extent this is good. And then, for example, if I give you a simple question, and questions is also part of how we work with information, and if we don't have a question, it means that there is a whole field of information we are not using. So that's why maybe the Jews like to question a lot, like to argue a lot. I love questions. Ask me to do something, just tell me something specific, and I'm going to have 100 questions about it. I'll give you now just a special question that I'm exploring maybe the last 1 or 2 hours. And a lot of people are saying, okay, Alex, do you know it's very important to be in high vibrations, because if you're in low vibration, law of attractions, and so on and so on. Why do we need to move into vibrations? And vibration relative to what? What is the meaning of high vibration? A lot of time you are coming through the center. You are passing the center a lot of time. This is a high vibration. A low vibration means that you seldomly pass the central line. And if you now go into the physical matter reality and into the objective reality and the internal external interaction and visible invisible interaction, and then you place vibration into this specific interaction with reality, more and more we are passing through interaction with reality, more and more vibrational we are, more and more exchange of information there is, more and more feelings, more and more feeling of the solidness of the invisible there is inside of each one of us, more and more influence and interaction it is happening, more and more high vibrational, energetical we are feeling this body that is actually giving us the ability to understand the unseen. Then I start exploring what to use exactly vibrations for, and what do I need this high vibration, which is the middle line I need to pass so many times in order to be dwelling much more in a place that I have not been dwelling before this. So this is how I'm just starting my journey in the informational usage, more and more into understanding and interacting with my own reality. And of course, I like this saying that it is very simple, simply made the reality, but also the beauty is that it is so complex, because we are monitoring constantly more than thousands of processes. And of course, our mind is so limited that he said, no, Alex, it's impossible a human being to monitor more than 1, 2, 3, many. Who says that 1, 2, 3, many is the only thing that our mind is able to monitor? And of course, you can always put in your brain attention 2, 3 main things, but anyhow, in the background, everything else is monitored, and it doesn't mean that you need to be conscious for everything that your brain is monitoring, because once you placed into it, for example, in my now personal case, when I'm placing into my brain that information and the way information is used into everything I'm doing in my daily reality, and how I'm extracting, how I'm opening new and new doors into the invisible part of the reality in order to be able to influence and interact with it, my brain is long-term when seeing things, when hearing things, when receiving information, it's starting to move forward and using much more power, much more energetical, informational fields are moving around me when I'm going and moving through reality into even simple small actions that I'm doing. Yes, it makes much more vivid, much more enriched my reality. Yes, it becomes much more not only power hungry, information hungry, but when you move closer and when you become more interactive, when you become more influential, a lot of more informational fields are also required to go through this brain into the perception and interaction between objectivity and subjectivity and so on. That's why I'm just encouraging you to always be prepared and to always be happy and to always be ready to move forward into deep diving into more informational flooding into our beautiful, objective, common and collective reality. Thank you for watching today. Bye bye and enjoy your expanding informational fields. Bye bye.